Hello and good evening, and welcome to yet another episode of Better Than Before Live. I'm Dave Edelstein, your all things mindful, communicative, mindful communication and connection, and relating and caring and just dealing with other people, which is really important in life. Sometimes I say that the quality of your life depends on the quality of your relationships, and the quality of relationships depends on the quality of your communication. And all of these things make a certain amount of sense. This evening, I'd like to sort of follow up on something I started to talk about yesterday, which is the idea of false expectations, especially when we first fall in love with somebody, or that whole falling in love expression. Psychologists have invented a whole new word for the falling in love experience so that they can avoid referring to that rushy biochemical brain drug period of time when we first meet somebody as being a love experience. Falling in love is really a misnomer. It's not what's really happening, and yet when we read novels or plays or go to movies, that's the goal, is to fall in love, to have this tremendous emotional rush, to have this fantastic feeling of being in love. But feelings are ephemeral. Feelings come and go. And the feeling of being in love is especially dangerous because what happens during that time very often is because we know the other person so little. We've only just met them. With a word, with a gesture, with a look, with something, we knew. Love at first sight. I mean, I've been there. I've done this. Most normal people have. It's not a foolish thing to do, but the part where we're mistaken, where we go wrong, is we know the other person very little. So we have this kind of blank outline, and we color it in. We fill in everything we don't know with stuff that we like. Well, I don't know what this person likes to eat, but she must like to eat exactly what I like to eat. I don't know what books this person has read, but his favorite novel is Little Women. We don't know, so we fill in positive things because we're nice and we're in love. And so we fill in this whole outline of the person with everything that's unknown, incorrect knowns, things that we know about ourselves. I read about a case of a psychologist who was working with a severely disabled young man in an odd kind of messaging communication. And she convinced herself that he was her soulmate. Everything that she liked, coincidentally, he liked, even though his own mother and brother couldn't communicate with him. She sold herself. This was an educated, brilliant woman who was looking and needed love and connection in her life. And she allowed herself to fill in everything about this young man, everything, in terms of him being a reflection of herself, that he was her perfect soulmate because he was her. This won't work as a love plan. This won't work as a relationship plan. And I've been there and I've done this and I've had this done to me. And you think, wow, this is the perfect relationship with my perfect lover because we're identical. We love the same things, all the same things. No, you don't. You're not the same person. And as you get to know each other better, there's all the shock and surprise of finding out that everything you believed, well, maybe not everything, but 95%, 99% of what you believed about the other person, you made up. They're not really like that at all. And then you are disappointed, like they did it. You believed his favorite novel was Little Women. His favorite novel is actually Conan the Barbarian. And now you're so disappointed in him. He didn't do it. You thought she loved to cook gourmet meals because she did that while you were dating. She hated doing that. She did it because she loved you. And now you're disappointed like it's her fault. Let me say for a moment again about what I mentioned yesterday about having a type. He's not my type. He is my type. He is my type, or she is my type, is Death Valley. Because if someone is your type, you really think you know something real about them that's entirely in your own mind. You think that because he's tall, or she's short, or he's thin, or she's chunky, that she's your type or he's your type. This is what you want. You don't know anything about this person. You're making all these preconceptions. You are loaded with expectations because they trigger something. It's not his fault that he's tall. He just is. What you believe about him being a certain type because he is tall is ridiculous. What you believe about her being a certain type because she's petite, it's ridiculous. You don't know anything about someone because of their body type, of their shape, or their talk style, or their jokiness. You know, she's not my type. He's not my type. You have no idea. That person who's not your type may really be your type, or may have the capacity to accept you for who you are. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Wouldn't that be the basis for a long-lasting relationship? Acceptance of who the other person really is when they're just being their most authentic self. Because you know what? That's love. I'll let you think about that. Good night. It's been a pleasure. Talk to you again tomorrow. Take care.